God, Foos. You're better than this. Hey everyone, John from ARTV. It's time for a review of album number 9, Concrete and Gold by the alternative rock titans Foo Fighters. Foo Fighters are a product of the 90s, formed after Dave Grohl started his own new project after Nirvana was dissolved. Obviously, the lead singer and the leader of the band, Kurt Cobain, took his own life. Dave Grohl was the drummer of Nirvana, and then he slowly moved into making his own music, putting out I'll Stick Around, basically his tribute to sticking to music. He thought about quitting for a while. He fell into a deep depression, but the Foo Fighters turned out to be one of the biggest rock juggernauts of the late 90s and into the 2000s. In fact, they've kind of been credited with saving rock and being just one of those titans that kept the genre flowing, invigorated, and alive. And for the longest time, and still to this day, I will agree with that, honestly, because Dave Grohl is such a likable and talented guy. I mean, there's really not one thing that I dislike about Dave Grohl, other than the fact that some of the music at times can get a bit tedious. And with their last record, Sonic Highways, I initially gave it a pretty positive review, but I quickly downgraded that because I feel like I really rushed that review. I do apologize for that. It was a very busy time in my life, and I've definitely changed my reviewing habits since then. That was 3 years ago, and at this point, I would give that record probably a 2.5, maybe a light 3. It was something that felt very disjointed and rushed to me. But for the most part, I love the majority of the Foo Fighters discography. But with this new album, what did we get? Dave Grohl's been talking about it. He was like, I want to record it in front of 20,000 people. I want to do all these crazy things. I'm going to have guests on it. They didn't end up doing that recording process. Obviously, that would have been a little bit insane. But they decided to go back to just the traditional get in the studio, get a producer. So they got Greg Kurstin to produce the album. He's known for producing a lot of pop music. I've definitely enjoyed him. He's one of my favorite pop producers. I like him with Kelly Clarkson, Lily Allen, a plethora of others. And I think he's a really talented guy. He was raised as like a jazz pianist and kind of evolved from there. So I think he's a very talented guy. I just didn't know how well he would work with the Foo Fighters sound. And for the most part, my problems with Concrete and Gold do not lie within the production necessarily, but just, there's one word for this album. It's serviceable. It's there, but it's very colorless, kind of void of any fresh content and ideas, and listening through, I cannot help but feel bored. And whenever I'm listening to the Foo Fighters, that is the last thing that I would ever want to feel. It's something whenever you go to them, whether it be a slower moment or just one of the harder rock tinged ones, you want something that's going to captivate the eardrums. And this album doesn't give you that. Concrete and Gold is a major letdown, one of my biggest disappointments of the year so far, and as a huge Foo Fighters fan since 2005, that kind of pains me to say that, because especially with bands that I love, respect, and even look up to and admire to this day, I never really want to come down negatively on them. But listening through this album, I have no other choice, because I'm honestly bored to tears parts of the time on this record because it's so standard. It's very formulaic, and it feels just like run-of-the-mill Foo Fighters with a few new twists that really don't help anything. This is a much more mellow Foo Fighters album. Concrete and Gold as a whole definitely brings in some guests, but I don't want you to go into this album thinking, oh, it's featuring Alison Mosshart from the Dead Weather. It's not like a vocal feature. It's not like the Boyz II Men singer has an entire verse on the title track, or Justin Timberlake on Make It Right is just coming in and just crooning all over the track. It's not like that. It's actually more of like backing vocal roles. And I'm fine with that. It's just that they're not super noticeable. It's always stuff that you have to listen for. And Dave Grohl really hyped up this record with all of like the teasers and that sort of thing, talking about the guests that he got, talking about the title track and how it had the Pink Floyd influences and just a choir built out of vocal takes from the Boyz II Men singer. And I can definitely hear the Pink Floyd influences on that closing track, but I don't know about the epic choir thing. I mean, I definitely hear the layering, but it doesn't feel all that epic to me, and that's really just the problem overall. It's just a variety of different styles that all kind of mesh together, and they don't work all that well. So being a big Foo Fighters fan, I got into them in 2005 whenever I attended camp in the summer. I didn't really want to go, but I made a friend there, and he had the Foo Fighters album that had just come out, In Your Honor. And I was listening through it with him several times throughout that week, and I grew to love kind of the slower and the harder moments. So Concrete and Gold should be right up my alley, and that just goes to show you how poorly executed I feel like a lot of this record was. Not that it's badly played or badly sung or performed necessarily, it's just like if you've heard any other Foo Fighters material, you're going to feel like you've already heard this album. And even with the upgrade of their touring keyboardist that's been touring with them since 2005, it doesn't feel any more fully fleshed out because they've still had other people contributing to the albums in various ways, even if he wasn't necessarily an entire member. But at this point, they are a six-piece, and going through this album, you can definitely hear his parts on like Dirty Water, or even Make It Right, or the background of Sunday Rain, which Sir Paul McCartney drums on, which is awesome that they got him, but at the same time, it doesn't really stand out. I mean, it's kind of a catchy chorus, but at the same time, like I said, it feels heard before. And then on Make It Right, I feel like I've heard that track before. There's a couple of songs on here that remind me of like This Is a Call, or some of their already acoustic songs that I've listened to so many times in the past. It almost feels like you're revisiting an old friend in the nursing home, the very thing that they kind of parodied in the Run music video. And I will say this, the two singles that we got, the two official singles, Run and The Sky is a Neighborhood, absolutely fucking fantastic. I love both songs. Run has this hard rock edge to it that just cannot be messed with. It's classic Foos. It starts off slow with that guitar riff and Dave Grohl's vocals. Slowly Taylor Hawkins comes in on those drums, and then he kills it with that soaring chorus that just rocks out. The guitars unleashed. Grohl is screaming on this one, and while I love the screaming here, there's other moments where I feel like I should like it, like on La Di Da, and I don't. It's kind of got that synthesizer running all throughout, and then the vocals that are just kind of shouted during the chorus, it just feels like if I heard it once, I kind of get annoyed each time it pops up as it rolls around. Getting back to the other single that I mentioned, The Sky is a Neighborhood just lit me up because I feel like it's such a good song for the Foo Fighters. It sees them advancing their sound, pushing their sonic borders, and building off of that slow burn effect because it's got those stomping drums that kick it off, a minimal guitar, and then it slowly works in a bit more, and we see Dave Grohl just exploring and kind of unleashing his mind on this. And it's like we've gotten some tame stuff in the past where he explores like his concerns with things. I feel like he's definitely venting his frustrations much more in a clear message here, and I love that. The Sky is a Neighborhood is a great experimental track for them, not in the sense that, oh wow, it's just so wild, but they actually tried something new and pulled it off, stuck the landing big time. The chorus on this thing is huge. I would love to see this thing live, but God knows I'm not going to be able to afford to see the Foo Fighters anytime soon. The album opens up with a short little intro track called T-Shirt. Grohl sings about not wanting to be king, just wanting to sing love songs, get his message out to the world, and then it explodes a little bit. It starts off very slow, obviously the acoustic guitar, light vocals, and then we break into it. There's a big wall of sound, and then it just kind of dies off into Run. It's not that it's an awful transition, it's just a bit oddly juxtaposed together, and I don't feel like it's maybe that great of a flow, but I was like, okay, I can forgive that as we get into it. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed Make It Right that comes after that as well, but it felt, I guess, a little bit more tedious as I kept listening through Concrete and Gold, and honestly, I felt like, am I just tired whenever I'm listening to this? I've been working a lot at my other job, and I was like, I need to give this some fresh listens where I'm just coming at it with a clear mind. And honestly, each time I listen to this album, instead of growing on me, I feel like it did the opposite, because if they felt a little bit fresh at first, that feeling kind of wore off as I kept listening through this thing, and that's not a good sign. As the LP progresses, we do get some more acoustic takes, ones like Happy Ever After 0 Hour and Dirty Water, and while both of those have aspects that I like, it's just that they always feel like they're overstaying their welcome. Even though some of these cuts aren't that long, some of them are, but most of them are not that long, they just feel like they've been hanging around for a while. And especially Happy Ever After, I do like the chorus on that one. Where is your Shangri-La now? Like, where is your paradise now? Grohl is singing on this one because we've been thrown into these dark spaces, I think, as a society. I feel like that's what he's commenting on. I also really like the little guitar flair that it has towards the end of the track as it kind kind of picks up, but not really. It just doesn't feel like it really merits repeated listens. And I could say similar things for Dirty Water, even though I do like the general theme of the song and the feeling. It's just not something I know myself, and I know a lot of people and how their tendencies are. I just don't feel like this album as a whole screams, keep listening to me. Whether it be your standard run-of-the-mill Foo Fighters on Arrows, which has kind of a build-up bridge and chorus that you would just expect from a mile away. There's no other way that I can explain it. Or to some of the better cuts. This album, Concrete and Gold, is just kind of inconsistent. It's got kind of a strange opener to it, which I admire in a way because Grohl is definitely kind of telling us how he feels, and I think that he's doing that all throughout this album. I just don't think it's really conveyed in a very original way, and the Foo Fighters being such an important and big band, I would expect a lot more from them. I do like the closing moment, Concrete and Gold, and even the line has elements that I definitely enjoy. There's two songs that kind of push us out on a pretty good note, but I still feel like it's lacking in the kind of memorable department. It's something where I just know myself, and I know that I won't be coming back to many of these moments. In fact, up to this point, I still have only the 2 singles saved, and I don't think that that's spelling good things for Concrete and Gold as a whole. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section down below. Keep in mind, this is all just my opinion. I think this is going to have a pretty low replay factor, and honestly, I'm going to have to give it a 2.5 out of 5, which is something that pains me to do because I was so excited to listen to this album. I loved Run. It definitely grew on me more and more. And The Sky is a Neighborhood got me from its first time that I saw the music video, listened to the song. I was enthralled with it, and I was very excited to see what comes, and it let me down, honestly. But anyways, let me know your thoughts down below. I'd be very curious because I feel like this is going to be an album that kind of divides the Foo's fans. Please drop a like on this video if you would like to eventually see a top 10 Foo Fighters, or maybe me ranking all of the Foo's albums. That's definitely going to be a big video, and it'll take some time, but if you would like to see that, hit the like button. If you want to see another Foo Fighters review, tap right here, or right over here for another recent rock review. Socials are stuffed in the description down below, and other than that, I'll see you very soon right here on ARTV.